Thank you for joining us. More than 60 people have died in a fire in the South African city of Johannesburg. The fire gutted an abandoned building sheltering mostly homeless people. Recovery operations are underway as emergency crews look for more bodies. The death toll is expected to rise. It's unclear what caused the blaze that began in the early hours of Thursday morning. Now, this happened in central Johannesburg's Marshalltown. The area was once a business district of South Africa's economic hub. The fire engulfed this 5-story building. Live to Al Jazeera's Famida Miller, who's at the scene in Johannesburg for us. So the death toll, Famida, has been rising. What's the latest?
Polly, that death toll has risen quite sharply in just a matter of hours. When the story first broke earlier this morning, emergency services had said that they'd found 10 people dead following that blaze. They extinguished the fire within a couple of hours and immediately began search and recovery operations once that fire was out. And by now, they've said that at least 64 people have been found dead, and it's likely that number will rise because there were just so many people living in the building behind us. We can still see a little bit of smoke coming out of that building. But what's happened is that in the last couple of years, it's been an abandoned building here in, as you mentioned, what was the central business district. This was a commercial hub in Johannesburg, but once businesses moved out of the area, buildings like this were taken over by informal landlords once they were abandoned by the original owners, and that's when people moved in.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. In fact, these buildings are described as hijacked buildings, and I understand there are quite a few of them in South Africa. What is safety like, and what are the conditions like in these buildings?
Well, it's exactly that issue around safety that has led to this incident. There really are very few safety measures in place. We understand from emergency services, because the building was abandoned, there isn't running water, or there wasn't running water, and if there was an electricity connection, it would have been deemed illegal. Illegal connections to ensure that there's electricity in the building, so not sanctioned by the city, not regulated. Essentially, people doing whatever they could to live in the building as adequately as they could. And so, yes, safety was definitely a massive issue for people in a building like this. And of course, there are dozens of buildings like this across the city and across major cities in Johannesburg. I want to bring in the mother of a lady who was living in the building. We're speaking to Treasury Shuping. She is the mother of a woman who was living here for at least a year. And Treasury, you are waiting for any word about where she might be. You've been here for hours. I can only imagine what you're going through, especially with the limited information available.
Yes, I've been here since morning, before 7, and we still haven't gotten any update as to what is happening. We've just been told that people are being evacuated, bodies are still being recovered. Is the death toll rising? So yeah, it's the suspense that is actually killing us, because we don't know what is actually happening. I don't know if my daughter is alive, or I can only hope for her to be alive, but we don't know.
What do you do at this point, given there's been so little information? You don't know whether you should stay here or go to hospitals. What is your family doing trying to find information?
The problem is we can't move. Before we were told to which hospitals were they taken to, because we also don't have an idea. And the other thing is we are told to wait until they can tell us exactly where to go, where the people has been taken to. So we don't know. We are all stuck here waiting to get a direction as to what needs to be done.
Treasury, I just want to ask you, do you have any idea why your daughter would have been in this building, given the safety concerns and given that emergency services have said there's a very informal setting within that building and it's just so dangerous?
Yeah, and from a parent to say that is very sad, because my daughter was on drugs. She ended up leaving home and coming to stay in a place where she can easily access the substances. So yeah, that's the reason why she is here, drugs behind everything.
Treasury, we appreciate your time and we wish you the best in finding your daughter. There are a number of people here, just like Treasury, waiting for any word around what's happened in that building, how far the recovery operation is. We do know from emergency services that at least 43 other people have been taken to hospital, many with smoke inhalation and other injuries. But so far, Folly, 64 people have been found dead, and those operations are continuing just behind us.